Good evening. I'm Chief Political Correspondent Mark Davis, live at the State Capitol, live from the Governor's office, here with Governor Dannel Malloy for another edition of Ask the Governor.
It's great to be with you.
Thanks for being with us again. And let me just say, you may hear some cracks of thunder. Those heavy storms that Steve was talking about are passing right over the State Capitol right now. But we're safe.
Yeah, and we've had some storms for the last few months.
Yes, you have. Let's get to the questions. And we want to thank you, by the way, for your hundreds and hundreds of questions to WTNH.com. Our first question is from Barbara McNeely of Madison. She says, Governor, you want state employees to take pay cuts and benefit cuts. Tell us what kind of pay and benefit cuts you are taking. And let me add here that Barbara's question was repeated many, many times by many, many viewers and many, many users at WTNH.com.
Well, first of all, we're not asking them to take cuts. We're freezing salaries for 2 years under this agreement. And then the employees will be eligible to receive increases for the last 3 years of the agreement, and those numbers have already been agreed to. So there is no cut in that sense. When you're talking about anything else that applies to the employee base, it applies to the rest of the state employees. So whatever additional costs are passed on, or any changes in insurance and coverage, all of that affects the vast majority of the employees, including the governor.
Including the governor.
Yes.
Okay, we'll clear that up. This is from Barbara in East Haddam. She says layoffs of unionized state employees has been your primary focus. What management positions have you identified for layoff?
We've included many management positions in the layoffs, and in many cases, if those are non-unionized management positions, those people won't necessarily be keeping their jobs. I've made it very clear that Connecticut's government is too full of bureaucracy, too many layers of government. It's one of the reasons that we're not particularly efficient. So I'm trying to overcome that. So this idea out there that we're not actually eliminating those jobs is simply not correct. But let me say this. These two first questions evidence some legitimate concern that some people might be asked to do too much. What we're doing here in the state of Connecticut with respect to this concession package is difficult. Certainly difficult for families that are impacted to have to share, but there's a certain reality. You'll have your job. You'll have it guaranteed for 4 years. Your benefit package will be on a sustainable basis, and you will have contributed to Connecticut getting through the biggest financial crisis since the Great Depression. I didn't create this mess. I got hired to straighten it out, and we've asked everyone to share in the difficulties. Some people are paying more taxes. Some people will be receiving less services. Employees will be guaranteed their employment for 4 years and 3 years of raises after 2 years of no raises. I think in a state that has a 9.1% unemployment rate, it's a reasonable request to make.
That sounds like a pitch for people to vote yes on this agreement. But let me follow up again, because a lot of questions were similar to this last one from Barbara. But also people reminded me that you told me that there would be layoffs in the governor's office, and I don't believe that's happened.
Oh, there will be. I said it again. I say it again today. We will eliminate 3 positions, and I think it's don't hold me on the exact amount. I think it's an allotment of about $166,000 that we have to remove from our budget. But there's a difference between the governor's office and unionized positions. None of the people who work for me are unionized.
Right.
And so they're not entitled to 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks of notice. So it's a very different situation. But I give you my word, as I did previously, we will eliminate 3 positions. And all of the staff has been told that that will happen.
All right, let's go to the next question from WTNH.com. This is from Marion in Meriden. She says, if state layoffs do happen, and I hope they don't, how do you propose to pay the unemployment for these people receive?
We have budgeted for that. One of the reasons you have to lay off as many people as you do is that we have to assume we'll pay 26 weeks of unemployment benefit. Now, I don't want people laid off. I've made it clear since February 16th that that's not where I'm coming from. I do believe that Connecticut needs to get substantially more efficient, that we have to be better custodians of the people's money, that we have to put our relationship with our employees on a sustainable basis, particularly when it comes to post-employment benefits, including pensions. All of that can be accomplished, and no one laid off in the labor ranks. I will continue the process of reorganizing state government. We have already eliminated 1/3 of the state agencies this year alone. So we're going to continue that process of building a stronger, more efficient state over the years to come, but it doesn't have to include all of these layoffs.
You have budgeted for the unemployment for potential layoffs. What about the lost revenue that those individuals pay to the state in income tax? Is that also part of the equation?
All of that is being calculated, and we believe that we've set sufficient reserves for that purpose. Again, that's one of the reasons that the number goes up of people and jobs that you have to eliminate, because you have to get those savings.
Okay, let's go to another question from WTNH.com. This is from Cynthia in Coventry. She says, as a parent of a Cheney Tech School student and a Connecticut taxpayer, I'd like to know why only the state tech school sports programs, not the magnet or charter schools, are being eliminated. They'll be the only high schools in the state sitting out the year. Why? And we got a lot of those.
Yeah, and I hope that that's not the case at all. Again, these are 19 schools that the state runs. The State Board of Education came forward with a plan to close all of the technical schools. That was their first proposal, to save money. I said absolutely not. They came back with a proposal that closes 2 schools and eliminates some programs, the sports being one of them. I don't like it. I don't really support it. I don't want it to happen. On the other hand, this is good evidence that the budget that we presented to the legislature was a pretty tight budget. And when you had to go back and make another $700 million in cuts, all you hear is complaints. Everyone wants the budget cut, but they don't want their program cut. And I certainly can understand that, and I don't want to make those cuts at all.
If the concession deal is approved, the sports programs are reinstated?
Yes.
There were some others very similar to this from other tech school students and parents. But also there are people complaining about elimination of the Birth to 3, the respite program, the utility conservation hotline that we just did a story about on Friday. Same answer, I guess.
It's a tough situation. $700 million in cuts. And you know, there's this idea that government is full of bloat. Everyone believes that. But then when you scratch the surface and have to make the hard decisions, everyone says, well, cut something else or someone else. It's a tough position to be in. And again, I didn't create this mess in Connecticut. I never served in state government. I wasn't part of the executive branch. I came to this from having to balance budgets year after year after year as a mayor. I know we can get it done. And then when we get this done, one way or the other, we're going to have a budget in balance, then we'll begin rebuilding our state again.
All right, I think we can do one more question before the break. This is from Glenn in Sherman. He says, I can understand you want concessions from the unions and raising our taxes, but how can you justify giving $864 million to the UConn hospital in this economy?
First of all, that's not a one-time transaction. That's over a number of years. Many hospitals throughout the state are in the process of upgrading their facilities, and we fund those very frequently with state bond money. What we are funding in particular at the UConn campus is the invitation of 50 world-class scientists to come to Connecticut to be involved in innovation and creating new products, in essence. We believe that will add to the financial strength of the state, that over the next 20 years that'll produce 16,500 direct jobs. We're also going to enlarge the medical school by 100 students, the dental school by 48. So I think we're in pretty good shape, and I think it's a pretty strong investment to make in Connecticut's future. Now, one final thing. We need to be a leader in bioscience and life sciences. We just saw what happens when you're not investing. We lost 400 jobs from Pfizer down in Groton to Massachusetts because they wanted to be near bioscience research ongoing at MIT, at Harvard. Between Yale, UConn stores, and UConn Farmington, I want to have that triangle of innovation.
Okay, we're going to take a break, and we'll get to more of your questions for Ask the Governor, for Governor Dan Malloy, live here exclusively. Stay with us.